And we have Matisyahu today joining us to talk about Ancient Child. It's really cool to see. This is your eighth studio record. And at this stage in your career, is it about changing things up? Or how do you approach creating albums at this stage in your career to avoid becoming creatively stagnant?
I think like every album I've made has been slightly different. And from like my very first album where I was like just going on Friday afternoons to record music. And that was like the only period of time that I could do it to leave Yeshiva. And to like my next album where it was like I had already had a live album, like a live album, like Live at Stuz was like that sound truck pulling up and recording like one show. And then the next album, like Youth, is like the first big record, and in the middle of touring and playing festivals and trying to figure out how to make a record. And but yeah, I mean, I was just saying like that first record, all the way through, like each record I've made has been different. I made one record I made like with my best friend who was my bass player, who we'd been on the road for several years away from our families or loved ones, and there's like a closeness, a bond between the musician and myself, and we made a great record like that. I mean, so each record's been different. COVID, I made a record at home with the only producers that would come to my house and leave, during COVID. And it was also very special for me because my wife was giving birth at home, and we had, babies at home, and new music being made and stuff like that. So this last album was made post COVID, but it was actually made like most of this music was put together like 2 to 3 years ago. And it's sort of like, to me, it's like the last of this old era of like putting out albums, in the sense of like, ever since my first album was like, I put out my first record, and I remember like my manager at the time, who was a pretty renowned manager actually, or music person, more renowned for being an A&R than a manager. But he was like, you got to go away now for a few years, and then come back. And in today's day and age, you think about that, it's like total career suicide to go away for more than like a month, you know what I
Right.
mean? So like, so that's like what happened with me. And every album, whether I wanted it to be that way or not, seems that it's been like anywhere from like 2 to 4.5, 5 years between albums. I've put out 8 albums, so it's not always like that. But like, it's been like 2 years, 3 years between albums, and you start working on music, and then like by the time it comes time to sing those songs, like for fans, like on tour, promoting that album. It's like a whole different phase of your life. You're already in one or two phases beyond that. You know what I mean? So to me, this is like the last of that. Everything moving forward from here on is like you work on a song and then you put out that song. And the only reason that I would work on a song is if I have something to say. And if I have something to say in the moment, why would I want to wait on that for 2 years? I want everyone to hear what I have to say in that moment. I want to perform that song. I want to make merch for that song. I want to make a video for that song. Like this whole idea of having like filler on albums, or like every song is important, right? Like not every
Mm.
song is a hit, but every song is important. Like the idea, like in the old days, that like one or two songs would have a video made on a whole entire album. It's like, what about all the other, all the other songs? So anyway, um, kind of rambling on, I guess, a little bit.
But if you flip the script, like looking at that era and like saying to go away and give the audience a break, juxtaposed against the new way of doing things, where people are saying, hey, you need to
Yeah,
be on your social media posting every day, you need to be on TikTok, you need to be coming up with dance strategies, like
right.
it's
Flood the market, like flood it with your sound, and then there's so much garbage and crap out there, so it makes it harder for people to decipher through it. But it's just the way it works now, I guess.
But the one thing about that era, and I don't mean this to come out the wrong way, but it's like
Hmm.
there was gatekeepers, right? So like now anybody, like the brilliant thing is like, my kid can make a song on his computer and
Hmm.
upload it to Spotify the next day. But it's like
Sure.
there's a 10 million songs being uploaded to Spotify every day. How do you differentiate and have your voice heard amongst the clutter?
It's tricky. I'm trying to figure that out now. Like I put this last album that is just coming out now, Ancient Child out on SoundOn, which is TikTok's music distribution. uh, Hoping for some help, like from them, to figure out how to engage social media audiences and stuff like that, especially TikTok. So it's been helpful, you know. I think it's still, like, you know, we'll see how much it actually helps, but um, it is awesome that, you know, I got kids also, you know, and they both release music, my older kids, and they didn't have to wait around for, you know, some schmuck from some record label to see them, you know, you know, performing and be like, kid, come sign a record deal, you know. So, you know, it's kind of awesome. You know, like you said, it's just different. But the part about it that I love the most is like the ability to like make music and put it out right away and not have to worry about too much else. You know, you can upload things yourself, and like just like living with the times. That's what I like about this stage of my life, and this record in particular is like the artwork that was created, the merch that's created from that artwork, the show, the tour, like everything is connected. It all comes from within. It all comes from like the vision of this thing, and it's not being controlled or really swayed by anyone other than myself, which is a good feeling. You know, to have like, you know, control at this stage is nice. You know.
Coming back to your sons for a second, this has got to be a proud dad moment for you because you have two of your sons on the record with you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my sons have been around like and in the studio for years, and so they've been included in different things. Like, I have a song a lot of people don't know that Michelle Obama like had me do with Ariana Grande and Travis Barker, and it's a Eat Right for Her, Eat Right campaign. And like we had the kids were all in the studio when we were making that, and they got involved when they were like 4 or 5 years old, you know, yelling out their favorite vegetables or whatever. um and then, you know, like, you know how it is, you have a studio. Like oftentimes I was like making most of the music at my house. My kids are like, all of a sudden now they're 13, 14, they're hanging out in the studio and they're starting to think about writing and like how am I gonna what do I do, and you know, and I'm able to advise them and coach them along the way as they're interested in it. So that was great, and now they're 20 years old. Like my oldest has been out of the house already 2 years, and really, you know, doing his thing, and it's amazing. It's awesome to see. It's I don't envy them because it's not easy. Like you know, I think about how did I make it, how did I break through all the noise, you know, and I had a very unique situation. So it's like it's tough, but I feel like it's cool because, you know, they know how to make music, they know how to express themselves. That's something that they'll have for the rest of their lives. You know, whether they choose to make a job out of it or not, it's kind of not the main point. You know, it's more about like self-expression, the ability to express, and identity and all of that. So, you know, I feel like they got that gift. You know, I was able to help them get that gift. You know.
And there's something pure about it because obviously, if you're the son or daughter of a famous musician, there's a bunch of expectations that come there. But I think that there is a generation. You see, like Tom Morello, his son is super gifted, and like
Mhm.
Sonny from POD, his kids out there now.
Yeah.
Like you get all these guys that like there's a new
Dude,
generation of kids
I
doing
got to
it.
get them together. Me and Sonny got to get our kids together. I didn't realize that his son was out there. We got to do that. You know, we have a song together, right?
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
his son was out there. I think when they were on the road with like Godsmack, I think he was drum teching for them.
Oh, that's cool. That's
So
awesome. Yeah.
yeah. So how, as someone who's sort of seen the dark side of the industry, how do you resist sort of becoming that helicopter parent and trying to shield your kids from the sharks of the music industry?
Well, let's see. You know, like certain things are gonna come up. Like my son might, let's say he's like working with some producer or something, you know, and there's gonna be questions that like, oh, this guy wants me, you know, he wants me to sign over, you know, this amount of percentage of things. Should I do it? What do you think? And I'll give my advice and stuff. But honestly, my son is kind of a little bit more business savvy than I am. I made like tons of mistakes because I'm kind of like just an artist, and I was very religious, and like I didn't really want to even think about the business end of things. You know, I'd rather like just spend time in shul or praying or like or meditating or, you know, whatever it was that I was into at the time. You know, or focusing on the music. But my son's growing up in a situation and in a world where like they just have like a different relationship, and also my relationship with the business has changed over the years. So as they got older, they got to kind of like see me running my own business, managing myself, and all of that. So I think I think they're pretty smart. They're pretty hip to it. Like if anything, probably they're gonna end up like helping me figure out how to run my business better.
Like a 180 moment, like they're
Yeah.
helping you, right? Just as
Yep.
much as you're helping them. On Ancient Child, you reconnected with your faith and that strength and faith. How does faith influence the creative process for you today?
Well, faith is like a big part of creation and creativity, making music, because the tendency, like with anything, is to like try to control and like try to like grab hold of something, and that is like even creativity. Like, and you know, you'd be surprised, but you see musicians all the time like about to get on stage, like you'd think they were like backstage, like behind, like in a locker room, like about to run out like onto a football field, like let's go fucking kill them. You know what I mean? Like, and like it's like people, they get caught up in this idea of like playing the song, like, you know, there's a song and like you play the song. Like, I my whole entire approach to music is the opposite. It's like the song plays me. Like, you know, if I get into a studio, for example, and someone's, let's say it's a collaborative connect, like writing process, which I did a lot of that, like on this last record, a lot of collaboration, because, like I was saying, like coming out of COVID and stuff like that, and like sometimes it might feel just I'm not that inspired, like I don't have that much to write about at this stage, you know. Um, um, and so, like, you know, collaborating with people was cool because, you know, you can inspire each other basically with other writers and stuff. So actually, this album, Ancient Child, is huge collaboration on a lot of stuff, on like a lot of the hooks and stuff like that, which in the past there might be one or two songs that had like collaboration on the melody and lyrics and stuff like that, but was like maybe 90% me. And on this album, I'd say there's like a lot more change up, you know, and my approach to it is like, why not? You know what I mean? If something feels right and it's cool, then it's just my ego getting in the way if I'm like, oh, I didn't write it, so therefore I'm not going to include it. So for me, it's kind of a little bit more like humbling and new maturity kind of experience of like writing with people. I've always collaborated with people, but it's never been like with other people who do what I do. You know what I mean? But if I'm gonna collaborate with someone who does what I do, like you better do that shit as good or better.
Right.
You know what I mean? And what I'll find sometimes in writing sessions is like someone will like jump in with like, oh, this should like let check out this hook. Like this should be the hook. You know, within like a minute of writing, and it's like, all right, this person is trying to control a situation, they're trying to like grab like territory, you know what I mean? And like, um you know, yeah, cool, you might even have an idea, but like to me it's like let the song speak to you, like let the song will inspire me and I will start writing to it. And then once I start writing, I'll write as much as I possibly can until until it starts to go. So like that initial spurt of creativity might be like 5 minutes, but it could also be like, it could be like 70 minutes of me just sitting there with the song on loop, like writing. And then there's gonna be like a process where I try different stuff out and we figure out and we build a song. But to me, it's like the music has to tell you first, and it's the same thing with live music. Like it's very easy to like play parts and play them really well and be like, okay, I know that this will work if I, if I do this and do this, and that's all good and that's all cool. But that's not really interesting to me. It's not interesting to me much as a listener. Maybe for a little bit of time it is, but not for a full show, and it's not interesting to me as a performer for sure. So basically, you have to have this level of like faith where you kind of like, you know, you have to have great musicians. First of all, that's more than faith, but like all of you have to kind of have faith in the music. Like it can't be like anyone, one person can't be trying to control it too much or like coming at it for the wrong reasons. It has to be like a genuine conversation and a genuine dialogue, and then like something can happen that's incredible, and that's really what I'm after, you know, when I make music, when I play live music.
I recently had an interview with Nathan from Aurora Wave, and he was saying like on this record, he was almost like a vessel for the music, sort of receiving a transmission. And it's like when that you can have your antenna up and like it might not come, but when that transmission comes, it's just gonna flow out through the music.
Yeah. And that's why, like, you know, you'll have some artists that won't write. Like sometimes I won't write anything for like 2 3 years. Like I'm just not interested, you know, because I have like faith. I have like faith that when the time comes and it strikes and it's like time to write again, and I put myself in the right situation and the right environment to create, that the creation will come. I don't know, it's interesting. It's a good question.
The you've been using the guys in Sideways as your backing band on tour.
No, I haven't. I mean, I used them for one tour, I believe. Was it one or two tours? But it was several years ago already. Now,
Oh, okay.
I have a different band. Um, Sideways is great guys, though. I love them. They're really really menshy, like good guys to have around, and I appreciated having them for that time. It was nice touring with them. We had a good time together.
Is collaborate like having those the right mixture in the band, finding the right guys that can sort of complement the music for an album cycle like Ancient Child. Is that important to assemble the right, I guess, pieces for whatever you're trying to paint?
It is. It's hugely important. It's hugely important for me, and you know, there's been times where there's been a couple of times, like over the course of my career, where I had to make certain decisions where, what, I wasn't necessarily choosing the band based on their playing. It was more like financial decisions that I was making, and it came as influence from managers, to be honest, never from myself. And Now, like, part of my getting back to managing myself and like doing things a certain way is like everything has to happen like from the music, and the live music is like such a key part of what I do. So for me, it's like I play now with a lot of the same guys that I went to college with at the new school, and they are all basically jazz musicians, but have played with me in various different variations of the bands over of the Matisyahu band over the years. Um, and then if those guys can't do the gig because they're really the best, they're actually the best that I've played with, and that's like Aaron Dugan, who's the guitar player from Live at Stubbs, and then you've got uh, you've got a bass player named Jason Fraticelli who played with me for several years, a keyboard player Rob Marsher for several years, and a drummer named Tim Kuiper. He's out with David Byrne now, but all those guys have like many different gigs now and stuff. So I'll fill in like different roles, and I have like guys that can do similar things in their own way. But all of it has to come down, like we were saying, to this like spirit, basically, of faith and of listening, because to me it's like there was a time where I wanted just a drummer who could hit the drums harder than any other drummer, or a drummer who had like a hip hop pocket that was better than anyone else's. You know what I mean? Or deeper than anyone else's, right? But to me now, like the kind of drummer that I'm interested in having is like a drummer who knows how to listen, and who knows how to play percussive if I want to start beatboxing and holding on the beat, and who can go back and forth with me, and a drummer who doesn't have to like go from 0 to 60, but can cruise at 45 before they go up to 50 to 55 to 60 in terms of dynamics, and drummer who's creative, who can create different things, and at the same time a drummer who can play the record. Like I want if I have a song, I want you to play that song, and then if we're gonna explore, we can explore from there. But like, don't come to me just being creative and not having done the work, and at the same time, like, don't come just doing the work without that creative side, because I need that kind of player, and those are the kind of players that I have and that I surround myself with at any cost at this stage. It's like that is the most important thing to me.
And there's certain guys like that have just a natural instinct and ability to sort of key into your musical wavelength where they can they can play by feel and and just
You have to have really big balls to do that. You have to really you be on stage at Reggae Rise Up in front of 15,000 people or whatever, and I might just completely abandon the song and just like be like, like let's start listening to each other, and let's start seeing where we can go, and that audience isn't necessarily used to that. It's not like a audience like on mushrooms at a fish show or something like that. Like, that's not what they're looking for. So to do that in front of like certain audiences is it takes a little bit of like emunah, which is faith, which is the word faith in Hebrew. You got to believe in yourself, in your musicians, in the audience, and in the music. And sometimes it falls. It doesn't work. Sometimes it falls flat on its face. You got to be willing. You got to be willing to fall if
I
that's
think
what you want.
you got to be willing to take those chances, and the audience does play a role as well, right? Where it's like as much as you want to play on feel, they might not be feeling it, or they might just be giving it back to you, sort of fueling you guys on stage as well.
Yeah, it's a tricky dance. It's a tricky balance, and it's one of the things that I think makes like can make like an artist really great. Because it's like you know you have to be aware of everything. You have to have like you for me it took me a little bit of time to realize, okay, like, okay, I can do all of this. It's just like a balance, and it's just about a flow to the show, right? And so like if you come out and you just start experimenting and like playing jazz in the
Right.
first song before anyone, like, you're gonna lose everyone before you even had them, you know what I mean? So for example, you got to come out with a hit, with a classic that someone knows, and when you sing that song, it should sound like that song. It should sound like how it sounded when they played it on their radio. You know what I mean? Like, and then and then as the show goes on, you can start exploring in different ways. Like if it's reggae rise up, I might want to lean heavier into the reggae side of things that I do because I love that. Why not? You know what I mean? So you do that, and then once you have people, and then at the same time you can't forget about, okay, well, what makes me unique? What is it that makes me different than everybody else here? And what is it that I can't just play to what I think people will like or what will be strong? This has to come from within. So that balance of like of doing that dance is something that's takes time. I think as an artist, like, it's taken me quite a bit of time to figure out what will make the best show, and at the end of the day, like, what will make me and the fans the happiest. That's the bottom line.
There really is an art to constructing a set list, and it's a science, really.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, there's different ways, there's different theories on it. There's only
I wanted to dive into the artwork for Ancient Child as well, because uh, Andrew Cotton painted did a couple of original paintings for the album and the focus track. What drew you to his work, and what was it about it that it was a visual representation of the sound and spirit of the record?
Look, I someone showed me a painting that he did of me online on Instagram, and I saw I see a lot of times, like, people will do stuff and it's great and it's awesome. I love it's awesome when a fan does some cool shit, but uh this is like a different level, and I was like, whoa, man. He like tatted me up with all these tats that like are meaningful to me, of like different things in my life and different connections that I have. And his ability to like show like sort of the different sides of myself, and not just myself, but also like Judaism, and he's painting himself too. It's like it's not just one person. It's like it's a feel and it's a vibe, and he just caught it. It was just, that's it. That's the vibe. That is it. And then as I was like talking to him, I was just telling him, like, please, like, you got to do the artwork for this album, like, because he's a pretty poppy. I don't know he doesn't really do that anymore for people. I think he did at some point, but so it was kind of but he was so like positive because of the message and the music and him being a fan, and like he wanted to collaborate. So this was like true collaboration of us, like, just kind of like the music on this album too. Like the art was really collaboration too. Like, just what are the ideas, what are the singles, and what are the concepts, and he's understanding it on a level that is different from me just talking to like a random artist, let's say, that like the label or someone had like gotten right, because he's coming at it from the same perspective as me, yeah, same understanding, being where he's coming from, like Jewish and all that, but street also. But he's British. I'm from New York, but so there's little differences, but um, anyway, so yeah, man, exciting, man. I was like so happy. So I got all the paintings. Like, he doesn't just do digital; he's actually painting them. I got the paintings, and we made merch out of it. We got the merch line like dropping tomorrow, like all this new merch, with all this artwork on it and stuff. So it's really cool.
That's incredible. Well,
Yeah.
to wrap things up, I wanted we have a segment called Origin Stories where we dive into iconic songs from established artists. Sunshine, that as well is a monster that just keeps building and building.
Yeah, Sunshine. At the time, I was working with Dub Trio as my band, and you know, they were like great band, and I used to listen to their instrumental. Like, they don't have like a singer, you know, so instrumental music. So I would actually write lyrics like to their music, and then use them for my music. um so at some point I was like, let me stop doing that and just like hire them them as the band. And we just like did a show together, and it was great, and they ended up being my band for like a decade. And basically, uh the guitar player and myself were we were in a recording session in LA. And Dave Holmes, he's an incredible guitar player, and started playing those chords, and we started just building this track. And I remember like right away, like thinking that this was going to be a hit song. This was going to be a big song. You know, I mean, I had been dropped off the record label already. So, you know, I didn't know if I would have another, like, if I would have that kind of like power, a promotion tool, bank, you know, all of the things that a major label is. But like, I didn't know if I'd have another hit. But like, it definitely sounded like a hit to me. Yeah. Especially with the chorus, you know?
That's incredible. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I know you got to run, but I definitely think that Ancient Child is a great record. Everybody should definitely check it out. And I thank you for taking the time to do a deep dive on it. So
Thank you. Thank you very
thank you.
much.